What's happening, guys? Gene here, TPO Dock Talk podcast. We're talking finesse fishing, man. We're going to gene things down here a little bit. We're going to go over some of the gear, some of the things to do to make finesse fishing, specifically the drop shot, make that a little bit easier for you. Before we get going, make sure to smash that subscribe button, smash the follow, give us a share on the video if you like it. Make sure you throw comments in here. Help us out quite a bit. If this content works for you here, if you want to help support the podcast and support the TPO on our missions to get more of our nation's warfighters into kayak fishing out there, then smash that subscribe. Great way to help us out. All right, so let's get rolling. Hey, man, if you know me, if you've been fishing with me, if you know me for about 3 seconds, you'll know finesse fishing is not my jam, okay? I just don't take as much enjoyment as other guys and gals do out of this type of fishing. However, you know what is my jam? That's catching fish, all right? And living where I live, you better learn finesse fishing in some fashion or form. Specifically, what we're going to talk about today is the drop shot, okay? Because drop shot from West Coast to East Coast, wintertime, summertime, drop shot can catch fish, and it's an indiscriminate bait, man. It'll catch this big to that big, right? I mean, it'll catch all kinds. So for me, a guy that doesn't really enjoy finesse fishing, equipment is everything, okay? I need to take down and dumb this down to give me the best possible chance to boat these fish, catch them and boat them, and get that bait out there. So I rely heavily on my equipment to really take a lot of this, a lot of the learning curve out of the deal. So let's go ahead and get into that and start talking about some of the things that I've been taught by some amazing finesse fishermen out there, and from some of the vendors that I work with. I've been taught quite a bit on how to do just that. So I'm going to share some of that knowledge with you real basic here, real quick. First and foremost, let's talk about the rod and the reel, okay? When you talk about to a finesse aficionado, if you will, they will start getting into all kinds of different, really, ultralight pulls and rods and reels and things of this nature. If you're just getting in, or if you don't have a ton of confidence in finesse, specifically the drop shot, I'm going to give you a couple keys here that's going to help you out. First and foremost, obviously spin cast reel. That's what you want to start with. Get yourself on a decent spin cast reel that you're gonna throw out there. I would suggest when you're first starting off, go with a medium power. Okay, a medium power finesse rod is going to give you kind of a universal and a balance of where you want to get going with this drop shot. As far as the reel goes, you can go a 2,000 or a 3,000 or otherwise, 20s or 200s, whatever. That's just talking about the spool size and such that you're going there. This is a 3,000 reel that I've got set up here. It gets the job done. It holds a little bit more. It's got a little bit more cranking power to it, than some of the smaller ones. But nevertheless, 2,000 or 3,000, size reel in a medium power rod. For me, a medium fast is kind of the best balance inside of a kayak, and we'll get into that a little bit here as to why that is. So that's basically what you start with a rod and a reel as far as a universal setup is concerned. Next, let's talk about the fishing line. Remember this generalized rule that I'm going to throw out there for you. I go with the half-ish rule, and what I'm talking about is a braid to floral combo. And what my half is referring to is the weight tensile strength of the line. So the first thing people ask me, why do I prefer going braid to floral? Here's why. When you put braid on one of these spin cast reels, it is super easy to manage, okay? It's very, very manageable. It doesn't have any memory really that it retains back. If you've got a decent braided line, it casts really, really, really well if you've got a decent braided line on there. It has zero stretch whatsoever to it. And you can get them in some really decent visible colors if that's your thing, if that's what you're looking for. So you can actually keep tabs on your line visibly, not only through feel, but you can also see it. That, along with the versatility, if I decide that I want to use this rod and reel for a different presentation other than drop shot, I can quickly cut the leader off or cut the bait off and attach something else to it at that point. And that gives me that flexibility. Now, what I choose to use is vicious. Okay, vicious fishing, no fade. And in this case, we're talking 20-pound braid is what we have. Now, why the no fade? It has more strands, it's smoother, and it casts further. That's why. Now, it's an added extra bonus that it doesn't fade out. It stays the same color. And as you can see on this reel, I'm running the moss green because I'm not a real big one that I don't concern myself too much with the sight visibility, doing the bright orange or whatever. I have some that have yellow on them that just happen to be what I have on hand. But as time has gone on for finesse fishing, it's feels everything to me. So we're running 20-pound no fade vicious braid on the reel here. Something else I want you to keep in mind, the other side about why braid works and why it casts so far. If you look right here and you see that diameter 0.007, that is effectively the diameter of the line, and that is basically equivalent to between 6 and 8 pound fluoro. That's how small that is, and it can still pull out 20 pounds of tensile strength off of that. That is a huge deal in what's helping you cast a lot further. When you have super crystal clear water like we do and heavily pressured fish, you got to stay back off of them in a lot of cases. If you get too close, they see you, they get lockjaw, game's over. So you sometimes need to make some really long casts to be able to get out there to where they're holding up. And that's just another reason why I prefer using the braided line when I'm hooking this up. Now, as far as the fluoro goes, again, this is where I come into saying about that half-ish. Now, normally I'd run 20 to 10 pound, okay? If I'm in the Midwest and I've got, moderately stained or 3 foot, 4 foot visibility, I'm probably running a 10 pound fluoro leader there in most cases. But out here in Colorado, because of our pressured fish and these smallmouth out here that are extremely smart, I run an 8 pound, okay? So it's half an ish, right? Just like I said, I run an 8 pound fluoro leader off of this. Okay, now what I do, I attach this, and all I've done basically in this case is a simple uni knot, okay? It's nothing real fancy or whatever. If I have time, during pre-rigging, I'll do the FG knot. Okay, that's a little bit more advanced, but I prefer that FG knot for sliding through the guides and so forth a little bit. But in this case here, I just did just a quick double uni, hook them together, and the distance that I pull out on a fluoro leader is literally one arm span. Okay, so my arm's at full length, so it's just over 6 foot is what I pull out for how much fluorocarbon that I put on there. That allows me a lot of freedom to change baits out, to do what I need to do with this, okay? Again, I'm talking generalized terms here, and I'm talking things that make life simple for you. So if you follow those simple little golden rules right there, those little guidelines, you can adjust this, either side of this deal here after you get comfortable with drop shotting, get comfortable with the gear, start to fine tune it just to the way you like to fish and what's your preference and what you have confidence in. But this should give you a good base to start from. Okay, so that's the line. I'm running fluorocarbon line. Why fluorocarbon? Several reasons. Number one, stealth, visibility. You can barely see this even on the camera. I got to really get it close to you there, okay? This is 8 pound test is what I'm running just because it's real small. And what that allows to do also is it allows the bait to fall in a little bit more natural presentation. Okay, the line isn't cutting through the water so much, so it's a lot easier for the bait to be a little bit more natural as it descends down to the bottom or as you're sitting there popping it around. Number two, a lot of that has to do with the fact that fluoro sinks, okay? Fluoro doesn't float like braid does. So this fluoro here at the end, it's basically going to go down a lot easier. It's very flexible, doesn't have a lot of stretch to it whatsoever, and you can really tie it in with a braided main line very, very easy. There's lots of different knots you can use to get that in there. That's why I prefer to use the floral end there with the stealth and such. Now, here's what's going to separate you from the crowd. Okay, so what I've just been talking about here, obviously we use Vicious Fishing. Those are the brands that we choose to use. I've tested, tried and true with this stuff for years now. I've been with these guys for a lot of years. This is the fishing line we give out at each one of our events here to get people started in the game and get them rolling. We trust, plus it's an awesome company. So yeah, but you go with whatever line you have confidence in there. If you don't have one that you have some confidence in, I suggest try Vicious Fishing. You'll appreciate the price point and the stuff that they have there. But this is what's going to really separate you here now. Okay, what I'm about to share with you. Here comes the juice. The next piece, as I said, I want my gear to do the work and dumb this thing down and take a lot of the guesswork out of it, okay? So what is the number one thing besides what's separating you and that fish is your fishing line? So you need to have trusted, tried and true fishing line. But I'll tell you, the thing that usually makes a difference between getting that fish in the boat and not when it comes to drop shotting is that terminal tackle, okay? That hook, you guessed it. That is going to be what separates a ton. And I'm going to show you and give you a couple reasons why here that this is that what you're about to do by going to this type of hook and so forth is going to separate you from the field, and it's going to increase the number of fish that you catch on the daily when you're running a drop shot rig. First and foremost, let's just cover the easy part here real quick. The end of your line is going to have a drop shot weight on it. There's teardrop, there's round, there's ball, there's cylinder, you name it. Just find yourself, for me personally, when you're just starting off, don't waste the money on tungsten to start. Start with just a lead. This is a 1/8 ounce cylinder type drop shot deal from Laser Sharp Eagle Claw. They're not very expensive whatsoever. You get a 12 pack here, in this, and it's for a few bucks. Get yourself going on that, especially if you're going to be fishing around rocks, because get ready, you're going to lose quite a bit of these things. And that's what they're designed to do, though, is to protect your rig, and this is meant to drop off and basically break off in there. But that's the weight that I would suggest. Once you get fine-tuned in, some folks prefer to go to tungsten just because it's a smaller profile, it's more dense, and there's a lot more feeling when it comes to that you can feel when if that's your thing with drop shot. For me, the drop shot weight is just purely to get me into the strike zone faster. Okay, that's all I'm looking to do, or present it at a certain level that I want it to go to based on the bait. So start off just a decent lead, like I said, for me, 1/8 ounce is pretty universal. You can go up to a quarter, you can go down even further if you want to lighten it up. 1/8 is a pretty good general deal. However, now we're going to separate you from the herd. Your drop shot hook, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt. You can ask around on this. Anybody that's used these hooks absolutely loves them. It's the TK 150, and in this case, the VP. That's basically the Pro V bend that goes on the edge of this thing. Okay, now this is a size 2. For me, run an 8-pound test. A size 2 hook is basically what I start with. If I go down to 6-pound test, I'll move down maybe to a size 1 hook. Okay, but as a universal deal, the TK 150. What separates this hook from everybody else, not just the Pro V bend that you see at the end there, but what goes into this. Sorry, my sausage fingers are kind of covering it up. That hook right there is going to pin them, and it's going to stick them, and it's not going to let them go until you're ready to let them go. Trocar hooks are surgically sharpened. These are American made. The steel is American. It's poured here. It's sharpened here. Right here in Denver. They've also got a Missouri shop as well, factory set up over there. These things are surgically sharpened so well and so precise that they have, when compared against competitors, these things will penetrate their targets 50% faster and more efficiently than the competitor's brand when using basically half as much force. Okay, so basically they're penetrating as far as the competition into their target, into that fish, with half the amount of force that's needed. These things are super sharp. The barb works really well. That Pro V bend, once they get hooked on there, it locks them right into place. They're not getting off. Run TK 150s. I prefer the Pro V bend that goes on these bad boys for myself. Again, because I'm trying to dumb it down, right? I'm trying to gene things down to make life simple for me. And this is what's going to do it. The TK 150 gets the job done there. That's basically your gear, man, of what you can do to get started. Now, there's lots of ways to rig this stuff. We'll go over some of that here on the second part of this video here. But for now, that should get you started with the deal. And if you're looking for, to get rolling on the drop shot thing, or if it's just not your gig, try these little deals here. Start with that, and then you can work up or back from it. Do whatever you want to do with it. But this should at least allow you to get in the finesse game out there and start boating some fish when the fish pressure requires that you got to throw that drop shot. All right, folks, tight lines, be safe. Stick with us for the second part of the video where we're going to go over how to rig the drop shot. Tight lines.